Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, let me just try and minimize everybody's face so I'm not distracted. So just to be quick, because Liz has to go to another meeting at 9, I just wanted to go through quickly what we do on the producing the seedlings part of this program. This kind of started last year informally at one of our food council food and education action circle meetings. We were talking about, you know, things we could do to help folks who wanted to grow plants, grow veggies in particular. And one of the things that came up was, well, maybe we could produce some seedlings, those of us who could. So last year, myself, Josie Walker, and Rod Debs, both, we just grew on some extra flats of seedlings. And then we brought them to Liz because she indicated that some of her folks might be interested in doing that. We brought them to her and they were able to distribute them. And we got such good feedback from Liz that we thought, well, we're going to kind of bump it up this year. This year, Josie wasn't able to help us, but Rod and I, we decided to go ahead with it. And so we started with this process. So it began with some donated seeds that I got from Plant and See. They give us an opportunity to use year-old seeds. So I go and collect them in the spring. So we got the seeds from them. And then I had purchased some seeds and Rod had also purchased some seed for ourselves. And then also I had saved some seeds. So we used donated seeds to start this process. So in February, I started with a heat mat and a light source on my kitchen counter. So these are the beginnings of some of the eggplants and these are pea seedlings I was also starting. And here we are, it's just a very simple setup. It's an island counter and I have a little grow light and I started them and they're very crowded in there. So the heat mat makes them start very quickly. And once they start putting out the first true leaves, we have to transplant them. These are all tomato seedlings. And I transplanted them to cell packs after about a month or so. Then I started moving them out onto my back deck when it was warm during the daytime. And as things got even more crowded, I moved them to some light shelves that we have over at the community garden in a storage building. And so I had some in my house, some at the community garden. Some of the cool weather crops like the collards and kales, I could put them outside in another makeshift structure. By the way, I don't recommend buying these because they're not very long-lived. But anyway, somebody gave it to me, so I was using it. This is Rod's. He used a trailer that he had at his house, and he had put them on there. So after they get to be a certain size, you want to start exposing them to the real, sunlight and wind and so on. So that's a process called hardening off. And so some of these seedlings are in the process of also being hardened off to be ready for transplanting. And here's delivery day. We brought them to Catholic Charities. And this was, I think we did it in 2 shifts. The first shift, Rod and I were there with Maria. And we brought them in. And Liz can talk more about the distribution process. Here's Rod just checking the labels to make sure that every tray is labeled because we're aware that people are going to be coming and just, taking them, and we needed to let them know what the varieties were and what they were getting. Later I came back because Liz mentioned they were doing a little project with the kids for the summer, and so she wondered if I had any flower or veggie seeds that I could share, and so I still had some, so we gave them to her. And so I think this is where it started to get a little bit of fun for the kids because Liz shared some pictures with me, which I'm going to share with you all now. They painted the pots. And you can see one has a COVID mask on it. And another one, I think that little girl there is holding her trowel and stuff. She's ready to garden. I'm not showing pictures of kids because we didn't have permission to use their pictures, but we definitely didn't have a problem using their pictures of the work they did. So I think that's Kermit over there. And then this one had kind of a desert motif. So they got very creative. And Liz also shared this picture. I thought it was kind of a nice cover picture. This was the end result. I think a parent shared that with Liz. So I can, I'll turn that over to Liz in a minute. But these are some of the peppers and tomatoes that they grew from the seedlings that we provided them. So we provided them with, and I don't even have a recollection of how many varieties of tomatoes, but there are probably at least 6 varieties of tomatoes, maybe 3 varieties of peppers, 2 varieties of eggplants, kale, collards, and then a red hibiscus plant that they call jamaica, that they can use to make a drink from. So that is, I can stop sharing here and then allow Liz to speak also, and Rod also, if they have anything to share with us. So Liz, can you go ahead and talk about the impact of that with the folks who got it and how it was distributed to them?
I can. So it was amazing. Let me just start with how awesome the office smelled when all these tomato plants came in. It literally just like instantly made you happy because there's all these plants in one place. It was just like it was really, really cool. So I totally recommend like packing a small space with as many plants as you can. But anyway, so these plants we turned over to any of our families in our food pantry. And our Hispanic families are often, they participated last year, so they were super, super excited because they knew how well these plants did this year, or that what they would do this year. And we had, because we had so many, and we even had a second wave of plants come through, we put those plants in over 100 homes, and we've gotten feedback and people were just so excited to just go pick out their plants and put them in their car at this point and that kind of thing. And it was just really, really cool. And then everybody's like, I get to grow my own tomatoes, you know, and it was just the excitement that came off of it was great right there. And then we get the feedback afterwards. I haven't had to buy tomatoes all year or all summer because once this plant started producing, I haven't had to go to the grocery store and buy them. And the pride and the joy, and I've just gotten in recently, I think yesterday, some plants that were probably pushing 6 foot tall. It was amazing, just the pride and the joy that our families take in these plants and growing their own food. And then with our kids, so that's part of our Hispanic parenting group. And we put out plants and pots and dirt and seeds and you name it, we sent paint and everything home for these kids to have a project to do with their parents. And then they get to take on that experience of growing their food. Starting the plants and then moving them from the pots into the ground when they got to a certain size. And the parents said that the kids enjoyed it so much that they've asked for additional stuff. So we're putting together some fall planting stuff for them to go out as our next project that starts here in the next week or two. So it's been a fantastic partnership. It's been amazing outcomes, and just in the sea of COVID, in a lot of difficulty, it's been a bright spot in our day to be able to have that and to get that feedback here and there. So I appreciate all of you guys, and Joni and Rod, you guys rocked it this year for sure. I can't tell you the amazement I had when all these plants came in.
Thank you, Liz. Rod, did you want to say a little bit about your part in this process?
I'm amazed at what you folks have done. I just want to suggest that it can be very easy to get started with some seedlings. I wanted to get different varieties about 6 years ago, and I had a workbench in the shed, and so I got a grow light with a chain so I could lower this fluorescent light up and down, and I got a little heating pad to get warm soil, and I got a bunch of seeds, which I paid way too much for unique varieties, but you can, you know, and I've learned a lot from Joni about how to get a good medium of you know, something that'll grow seedlings and better than what I was using. But you know, just doing that, I got started. Now I've got 3 benches and 3 different grow lights, and I'm still learning not to get spindly seedlings, and and so there's a lot of but it is possible. And you saw pictures of what Joni has done different places at her place of getting some seedlings started. But I think the big thing is what Liz has done in interfacing with clients and their children. So thank you for this opportunity to be a part of it.
Thanks. So if anybody has any questions, we're open to questions.
Joni, I don't know if you're able to see the chat box, but people have been commenting throughout your presentation how cool this is and how wonderful it is. And I certainly want to echo what Rod just said about having good seedlings. Thank you so much for your expertise in getting them to even start as little seedlings. I don't know that I would have known to put a heating pad underneath or make sure they had, you know, what they needed to get started. So that made a big difference in the success of this project. So thank you for all that you always do for folks in the community. Does anybody have any questions for any of our speakers on this topic?
I did want to say one quick thing though, that when these ideas come about, it's through that collaboration of people meeting together. So which is also great why PIC Partners for Health is such a good process, because when people come together working for the same thing and then the ideas get shared, that's how things happen. And you know, it's just kind of a conversation and we got that idea. But yes, I think somebody's about to say something. Sorry.
No, that's great. I agree with you, and that's wonderful that that is how you see it as well, because we definitely believe wholeheartedly in that collaboration amongst our members. I feel like you're going to get a whole bunch of phone calls from people who said, I want to do that project with my group. I know I might be one of those with mine.
Lots of resources are available. It's fairly simple, but there are easy ways that you can ensure that you have success.
Great. Thank you again. Anyone else have thoughts or comments or questions for this group?
Mary, this is Alice. I just wanted to thank the Joni and Liz and Rod and others that have been involved in this, and say that this is what I've seen Joni and the community garden do over the years is set the foundation, and by giving those plants, Liz was talking about the excitement of the families. I bet next summer they will be seeking out their own plants and realizing that they can produce more than peppers or more than tomatoes. And I think that's so powerful that it gives people a chance to be successful and see that they can add to the nutritional resources for their family and go forward and do even more than they did originally.
I'm sorry, I've got a question. Can you tell me about, I think that Farmville has a community, I live in Farmville, so I think Farmville has a community garden. Would you know?
Yes, they do.
Okay, cool. And what would we be able to do to get this here in this town specifically? Because we have people from Greene County coming in, and I'm not really involved with the community garden itself, but I'll do the soup kitchen when it's open, and I also put up the blessing box here for food insecurity, people who are food insecure. And I'm just curious about how to get it here or get it closer to here.
So I mean, you can
more accessible to people in this area.
Yeah, so I'm familiar with some of the folks at the Farmville Community Center, Community Garden. So, I mean, that's one thing you can propose to them, because they're gardeners already, if they're starting seedlings, because that's how it started with us. We're already starting seedlings for our gardens. Why not just make a few more? So it's kind of just sharing your extra, except this year we bumped it up and deliberately planted more. But, you know, we can, if you want to, I can talk with them and see if they're interested in doing that. You know, it's just a matter of finding gardeners who are willing. But even this year, I was talking to another community gardener over at St. Timothy's, and when he heard of what we did with Catholic Charities, he said, well, maybe next year I could help out too. So if they can't grow it in Farmville, maybe we can grow it here and with the folks at St. Timothy's, and then have even more seedlings to share. So definitely email me and we can get in touch and we can see what we can get going, or growing rather.
That would be great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If I could jump in, Joni, one thing that I think we should note that the success with these seedlings shows that there was a lot of expertise in the clients on how to make things grow. And let me tell you, some of the descriptions that Liz made, they did better with those seedlings than what I've been doing. And, you know, my dad, you know, gardened, but we don't dare lose this expertise to allow, you know, to assist so that they can show their children and pass that expertise on. Because after a generation or two, without children seeing what their parents do, that expertise of making the plants thrive can be lost. So this is just wonderful. I want to give credit to the growers who knew how to get them. You don't just stick them out in clay or in direct sunlight, and or you have to really nurture and water, know when to water. There's a lot of expertise out there in the clientele.
That's true. I mean, I'm bad with tomatoes, so anybody who can grow a tomato has my deep respect.
Can I ask a question really quick?
Sure.
Please.
I'm a little bit late, and so I caught like the tail end of your information, but I know one thing, and I'm not sure if we've worked with you. I work at Martin Pitt Partnership for Children,
Yes.
and we're doing the Help Us Grow grants with local childcare centers, and we just sent out the application. Hold on one second. I'm so That's my dog.
Yeah.
Finding a toy. Had to take it away. But that's one thing like I would love to sort of talk with you about, because like you were talking about with bringing the childcare, bringing the like making it with the children of the people with the expertise, like what Rod was saying. That's one thing that we've really seen. So many children have no clue where their food comes from or trying different foods. And it's been really cool to see the kids like, and hear their parents talk about like, oh, we took them to the grocery store and they were pointing out like squash that they had tried and zucchinis that they had grown. And it was really cool just to see that. And so any way that we can connect with you further to sort of have that as a resource to educate the childcare facilities that are participating would be amazing.
Yes, yes. You know, I did that workshop this spring. Were you able to attend that workshop with the childcare centers?
I don't believe I was in that one. I went to one that they did. We went to NC State and did like the first grant that we had gotten was with NC State. And then we have applied and gotten the last two from the Vidant Health Foundation. And so this is, I think, the third year that we've been doing the program, and the applications went out again Monday. And so we're super excited to see the kids grow all of the different things. And they taste so good. Like they did a farmer's market. Don't get a dog there.
Always secure the squeaky toys before a Zoom meeting.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm going to work from home and be professional today. And my dog is just like, haha, no, you're not. But yeah, any way that we can like help support the seedling program and connect with you even further, like we would love that.
Yes, yes. So I think you'll have my email through this either from Tiara or somehow get it from Tiara, or I can give it to you somehow, Amanda. But yes, we can continue this conversation. That's what I'm here for. Yes,
thank you so much, and sorry for the excessive squeaking interruption.
It's okay.
It's all good. Thank you again to our speakers, Joni and Liz and Rod, for all of your input on this project. It really sounds like it was really beneficial for everybody involved, and I look forward to additional partnerships down the road from this group. Anybody who is interested, I guess contact Tiara directly, and then she can get you connected with Joni to get more information. Oh, she just put it in the chat box, so y'all want to check that out. That's her email is on there on the chat box. Anything else for this group then? You guys are great collaborators. I love it. Liz, I know you got to scoot to another meeting, so we're sorry to lose you, but thank you for being with us this morning, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You guys as well. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes.
Thanks,
Okay.
Liz.
Yes? Who was going to say something?
Oh, no, I just said thanks, Liz.
Oh, okay. Yes. Thanks, Liz. All right, well, we're going to move along on the agenda, and we have another wonderful guest speaker that you guys probably all recognize. She's been on TV a lot lately, bless her heart. Jennifer Johnson is the Public Information Officer for Pitt County Schools, and they have been very, very busy during COVID trying to figure out what school is up to. So we're going to ask Jennifer to kind of give us an update on what's to come. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning, everybody. I appreciate just the invitation here. And yes, we are tired. Lots of makeup to cover up the bags under the eyes here. But it is a pleasure to serve as the Public Information Officer for Pitt County Schools. But I will say it has been a very long process since March when schools closed. And so I just am very honored to be here with the Pitt Partners for Health. And just share some very general things with you about Pitt County Schools and what we are doing. You may have some information out there, but I really want to get you some links and some just information about how our schools are functioning and what it looks like to be inside Pitt County Schools during a reopening process during a pandemic. So we're watching schools change before our eyes, or just the state of education change before our eyes. I do not think that we will return to education as it was, even if COVID-19 is eradicated for some reason or controlled. There are so many things that have been happening so quickly at a pace that our educators and our teachers and our leaders have never had to really go with before. And as the quote really says, that you know, what is it about the mother of invention anyway? So we really are inventing things as we go along, and we are. I'm so proud of our leaders and our teachers and our district personnel. But with that aside, this is a very serious situation that we're in. And we understand that bringing 24,000 students back to school is not a possibility, but bringing some of our students back to school is a possibility. So with the Pitt Partners for Health, just wanted to share what we're doing, and then also give you some links that hopefully you can be our ambassadors to share this information as well as people are asking. There are nothing but questions at this point, but we do at this point have lots of answers. So I see some of our partners here that are with our schools, some partners that we've worked with. I enjoyed the presentation on gardening as well. My mother was a master gardener, and so I just wanted to give a shout out and say thank you for helping our schools, our daycares, our after school programs, all of those in those initiatives. So without further ado, thank you. Necessity is the mother of invention. I knew it was going to come back to me. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second here, and I will get with our presentation. Let me move my screen here 1 second. Okay, so I'm just, like I said, proud to be partnering with you and the Pitt Partners for Health in our road to reopening today. And so I wanted to show you a couple of things. First of all, we are partnering with the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services and the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction and the North Carolina State Board of Education. Those are three major entities that have helped us make our decisions. So just that, so you know, Pitt County Schools is not alone. Pitt County Schools is following the guidelines of these organizations, and so are school systems across the state. But I thought this would be a great graphic to begin with. It came from one of our toolkits. Basically, why is our decision for Plan B? What was our decision, and what did that look like? So here's a great decision tree. I'm not going to belabor and read this to you, but basically the health analysis and the data and the capacity comes from our health experts. Then the governor's office and those entities that I mentioned before really make those decisions. And then the governor has asked us to be ready to implement Plan A, which is 100% capacity, or Plan B, which is about 50% capacity, or Plan C, which is everyone in remote learning. There are many districts around us that have chosen Plan C. Our governor has said we can operate on Plan B. If the governor says that we can operate on Plan B, we cannot go least restrictive or less restrictive, but we can go more restrictive. So I'm sure the question is, why Plan B instead of Plan C? Again, our board is working with Vidant, with the health department at Pitt County to determine those things, and have been from the very beginning. And so it was determined that with our capacity and using some of that language that's there, with our abilities and looking at the numbers as they are right now, that we could operate under Plan B. And I'm going to show you what that actually looks like. So basically our guiding documents for opening a school in Plan B. Again, since we are in Plan B, and that involves having the public come back to our schools, again, it's very easy to turn the light switch off and say our schools are closed. It is a very different animal to turn that light switch back on and say, how are we going to welcome the public back into our school system and into our buildings? That's an extremely delicate and extremely intricate process. So I wanted to show you what our documents are here. I will make this available, and all of these documents are linked, and we'll be able to look at some of those if you have questions at the end. But basically, we have our Strong Schools Public Health Toolkit for K through 12 schools, and that is from the Department of Health and Human Services. Another one here is just a separate one about PPE and infection control. We also have a guidebook for our suspected, presumptive, and confirmed cases of COVID-19. These documents are from our health experts, but this document, Lighting Our Way Forward, is in conjunction with our health experts, but it is from our educational experts. And so this guidance from our Department of Public Instruction is, how are we going to educationally serve our students utilizing the safety standards? So just wanted to introduce those things to you before we begin. Here is just a look at our guiding document. Again, I will give these links to you, and I will actually give you this presentation. So when you get this presentation, you can click here and you'll go straight to that toolkit. But I wanted you to see what's inside that toolkit. So if you have questions about what does social distancing and minimizing exposure look like, what is the guidance from the state on cloth face coverings, how do we protect our vulnerable populations, that's in there. Coping and resilience, as we know, we have finally acknowledged that during a pandemic, that things that we've already known, and that is resilience is extremely important, but it is 100% important now. And so the state acknowledging that not only are we educating our children, not only are we feeding them nutritionally and meeting their academic needs, we also need to meet their social and emotional needs and teach them resilience. So that's actually a part of the health guidebook. I thought that was interesting to point out. Down to communication, how do we educate the public? What do we do for cases? How do we handle transportation and buses? So this is a comprehensive toolkit here. Let me take you through the other three. Here's our PPE guidance and infection control, and you can see the table of contents there. It's really talking about the supplies and what is provided by the state to our school systems. What's in our starter pack? What do the thermometers look like? The masks and reusable face shields, who can use those? When do we use gowns? When do we not? And so that is a checklist here. And then just really the purchasing, et cetera. Lots more information than you may need, but if there are people who are interested on how all of this works, then that's another one of our guiding documents. Here is another one. I'm sure you may have seen yesterday, and our communications department is dedicated to authentic communication and being very upfront with all of our, with anything that happens within Pitt County schools. And so as you may have seen yesterday, we did have a first case of COVID-19 at one of our early colleges. Our early colleges did start on Thursday. I cannot share any more than that with you, but I can tell you that our protocols in this guiding document and with a partnership with our health department worked extremely well in mitigating that very quickly, in limiting any further exposure, in notifying, and then getting the information out to the public as well. So, so we are utilizing this guidance here for the suspected, presumptive, or confirmed cases of COVID-19. I'm going to show you in a second the screening flow chart, and I may be giving you more information than you want, but I'm just going to give you just our general guidance here. And again, here's our document from our state on the educational piece of it, and that really talks about our employees, their health, our student health and safety, how we're going to schedule, what does Plan B look like? Different systems can operate differently on Plan B. We just have to reduce our capacity of students. Some school systems have chosen to do a day on, a day off, or a half day with some students, or Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday is a cleaning day, and then Thursday and Friday, the other students that have chosen face-to-face. Again, parents have choices. Many of our parents are choosing online instruction, 100% virtual, but we do have nearly half of our students who have said, I want face-to-face instruction. And so our reopening plans and what that looks like for Pitt County schools, we have an A-B schedule. We have a week on and then a week off for our A zone and versus our B zone. Again, I'll feel more than happy to answer any questions, but this is what the document that looks like about athletics and extracurricular, before and after school programming, what can happen. And there's a lot of repetition in some of these documents, but our guiding documents are what we are utilizing here. So again, I have links to all of these. We'll be more than happy to go back to this slide if you have questions, but just a couple more things I wanted to share with you. I am going to share this video with you. Hopefully it's going to play from here, but just to give you a guide of, and you may have seen this or you may not have, but it was important for us as a communications department to really make sure that our parents had visuals, that they had frequently asked questions, that we had question and answer sessions, and then we published all of those things. But since we are talking about what schools will look like, I'm going to attempt to play this video here for you. It's very brief. Can you see that video on your screen, hopefully? Somebody give me a nod. Oh, good. Community members, we know you have lots of questions about what school is going to look like this year. Can you hear that? Has been preparing based on the guidelines from the Department of Health and Human Services. It's not easy to talk in a mask. Early College High School at Pitt Community College, and we wanted you to see how they have set up their classrooms and what it's going to look like for you as a parent and for your students to enter school this year. Come along with me. When your student arrives at any school in Pitt County, health screenings are mandatory. If you arrive in a vehicle, temperature checks will be required at your car or before entering a building. Our buses will allow only one student per seat, unless students are members of the same household. Students will be required to face forward, and our buses will be loaded from the back to the front, while unloaded from the front to the back. At Pitt County Schools, we are following the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services guidelines for schools. All students and staff will be required to wear a mask, to wait 6 feet apart from others, and to wash hands frequently. Masks and symptom screenings are also required of any visitors to Pitt County Schools campuses, and visitors to any school will be greatly limited. Inside our building, hand sanitization stations will be readily available for our students and staff members in high traffic areas. Water fountains will not be in use, and we encourage our students to bring water to school if needed. Our bathroom facilities are marked for social distancing as well, and the capacity of any restroom will be greatly limited at any one time. Our classrooms are also set up with social distancing as a requirement. Students will need to remain masked in the classroom, and desks or tables will be placed 6 feet apart with all students facing in the same direction. Teachers, principals, and other staff members are also required to wear masks while interacting with students or in close proximity to other staff members. As students move throughout the building, our hallways will be marked with stickers on the floors or walls to help students understand that 6 feet apart is a smart distance to remain away from other students or staff members. Between classes or other student transitions, classroom furniture and other equipment will be sanitized. We assure you that our facility staff and school staff has worked hard to ensure the safest possible environment under the advisement of our local health department. Thank you for your patience and cooperation as we continue to be Pitt County Schools Strong. Give me 1 second. All right, let me get back to.
Hello there.
Sorry.
Are you sleeping on a negative mattress or are you sleeping on a piece of garbage? Not sure? Simply ask your brain.
My little screen share up here is in the way of that X mark. So I'm going to go back here, and here is our road to reopening. And there's the link there. If you'd like that link, again, I can send this to you. It's bit.ly /PCS Inside Schools, and I can give you that link. There you go. I'll give you a second just to write that down if you want that, but I can drop it in the chat, or if somebody wants to drop that in the chat, there is one link for you. Just a couple more slides here. We are operating, as you saw in the video, under the NCDHHS wear, weight, wash protocols. We think that reiterating that as much as absolutely possible is very important, so that we are across the state utilizing the same research-based procedures. So yes, our students and our staff and any visitor are required to wear a mask, covering the nose and the mouth at all times. There are very few exceptions for masks, and that is when eating or when strenuously exercising. There are very few exceptions for mask wearing, but we are requiring. It is not a suggestion, it is a requirement. Then 6 feet apart is a requirement under Plan B. It is not if we can, it is absolutely a requirement, which is why you saw the stickers, etc. And the desks, but also the movement through the hallways. That's a very interesting thing to try to navigate for, if you can imagine a high school and the traffic patterns are changed just like grocery stores, etc. So we've had some of the same challenges as any organization or business that welcomes the public into their facilities, but you're going to see some very similar things, or your students will see some very similar things, such as the stickers, the one-way options, the staggered schedule, so that students are not congregating for any length of time. And then of course, education is our field. So we are educating about washing hands and using hand sanitizer. Lots of fun things our teachers are doing with that, but making sure that that occurs throughout the day. One question you probably had, and so I went ahead and it's in one of our guide documents. So what does the screening look like? This is probably our most asked question. So it is my last screen here. So I wanted to go ahead and address that, and then I'll address any other questions that you may have. So as a child or a visitor arrives at school, there is a screening with questions. If you have gone to a doctor's office or anywhere else, you have gone through the same screening, and a temperature is taken. And then here's our protocol here. If there is exposure or diagnosis or any symptoms, we have a nurse or we have a delegated staff person that confirms that exposure, the diagnosis or symptoms. And then if that's confirmed, and we're on the left here, then we have isolation rooms or isolation areas that are sanitized and monitored. And so that is where a child would go, or a visitor is not let in the building if they answer no or have a temperature. But if someone is actually in the building and becomes symptomatic, we do have isolation areas, and then until we can get that person to go home. And then of course, if that is confirmed, then there's notification that happens. If we go back to the very top, if a child is screened and there's no flags, then they go to class. However, if they become symptomatic, then we begin this process again. And so it seems simple, but it is very, the logistics for our nurses and our staff members, this is very important to make it as simple as possible, but also to make it as very clear and unified as possible what is to happen if something were to come up during the school day or when a child arrives at school. We also have frequently asked questions. There's a link here, so when I send you this, that you're welcome to look at our frequently asked questions for many things. I'm going to click on it here just so you can see what our page is. If you're going on the Pitt County Schools webpage, then look at COVID-19 Road to Reopening up here. But I'm pointing you to the page of frequently asked questions. There's lots of things over here. Here's a video library that we have of that video and many other videos. Our frequently asked questions is here. What's our mask procedure? What does that look like? Here it is. Dress code policies, school supply lists, our calendars, all of our digital resources are here, and then those guiding documents are here. So taking a look at the FAQs, we have done one per week. We talked about what does the education piece look like. That's an FAQ here. We have lots of questions for our children with exceptionalities and our gifted children, our ELL learners, our deaf and hard of hearing learners, and then pre-kindergarten and it is in session, and we do have spots, by the way, and what that looks like. And then most importantly, what does cleaning look like, operations, mass, symptom screening, those documents are here, and you can kind of see what that looks like. So it has a link here to videos, a question and answer session if someone wants a video, but then here is a full document on with lots of questions. These are all parent-based questions that we've answered. So back to the beginning. So this is a partnership, and we are in partnership with Pitt County Public Health and Vidant Health. Since we're talking about our Pitt Partners for Health, our partners are those two entities, and of course on the state level are DPI and NCDHHS. So what questions do you have, or what can I answer for you and then possibly go back to?
So Jennifer, there's a question in the chat box about who is actually doing the desk cleaning throughout the day. Is that going to be facility staff, or is it going to be the teacher or the student? Who's going to actually be responsible for that?
That is a great question. And the interview with our facilities operations person, our associate director, Matt Johnson, if you click on the FAQ and you can look at a very thorough interview with him, but he put it best in that this is going to be an effort for every single staff member. So the most important thing is that we have to have those protocols in place. And so it is not a time to say, well, that's my job or not your job, but how. So what happens is our teachers will be responsible for in between class cleaning, possibly some cleaning of just their spaces. But throughout the day, we have our facility staff. Normally, we have our custodial staff that is operating in the evening to clean our schools, but we have brought that staff in to have extra cleaning during the day to wipe off those high traffic areas, those high touch surfaces, our bathrooms, so many things several times throughout the day. And then we've brought in contract cleaners for the evening for deep cleaning every single day. So it's really a process for all of us.
Yeah, it's going to take everybody to do it on a regular basis, I would think. My question was, in the video, it looked like older children, they certainly know how to sit in their seat and behave and stand behind each other 6 feet and those kinds of things. Are there going to be extra staff brought in to help with managing younger children and making sure they aren't all over top of each other?
That is a great question. We do realize that children are children, but we also know that they're extremely resilient. We also know that our teachers are very talented in making it fun and teaching and really showing that. The other issue is that our classes will maybe be a class of 9 to 12 at the most. And so you have a teacher and a teacher assistant for those very young ages for only 9 or so children, when normally they were managing about 20 to 24 at the most. And so I think it is very manageable for each teacher. But again, we're going to have to educate, educate, and educate.
Yeah, that's great. That definitely more manageable at 9 than 30.
Right, true. True.
And hopefully the parents are doing some education at home too, to make sure they know what's going to be expected of them when they get there.
I will say that there were a couple of schools that we have followed throughout the state that have been year-round schools, and we have really something that that happens that we don't realize is that these schools are saying that children are just happy to be there. They're extremely happy to be compliant. If we think that they are not observant, they are. So they know about masks and they know what's happening, and they're just happy to see their friends, etc. So that was very enlightening to us and gives us, kind of a thumbs up of, okay, that's something we hadn't thought of. We thought maybe it would be life as normal and kids would be running around or, you know, not understand, especially kindergartners, et cetera. But what we have seen from other schools is that kids are happy to be at school. They're happy to comply. And then it makes that management of those who have either a lack of understanding or a little rebelliousness easier to manage then.
Good stuff. Lots of comments in the chat box about the great work that Pitt County Schools is doing. So kudos to you and your staff and everybody working with you to make this a smooth as possible transition. I know it's still, you know, it's going to be a challenge before Monday comes around, but
Yeah.
We're wishing you guys the very best, and we'll certainly help spread the news about what to expect, and just want to thank you for your time and energy. I know it's been a long haul.
Thank you very much. We really have a team. I'm really only the person that says this is what the team behind me has done. So please know that. And so our staff is amazing. But I will tell you that our Board of Education, these are some of the hardest decisions they've ever had to make. As a public information officer, I've talked to parents who are in desperate situations with employment, with childcare, et cetera. And it's very difficult to make some of the decisions that we have had to make as a school system, but following the guidelines from the state. And so our heart is out to parents and to our teachers too, who have had 4 days to prepare for the beginning of school. As you remember, some of our staff has been here, but our teachers are 10-month employees, and they just returned on Monday and are expected to begin school for virtual students and in face-to-face students on Monday. So please think about those teachers. If you are parents out there, please ask your teachers what you can do, et cetera. Have grace and patience as we all figure this out together. But I think that we have a space and a foundation where we can all be successful in the situation that's very difficult to begin with.
Yes, definitely. Thank you again for coming and sharing with us and telling us what we can expect. This is one time that I'm really happy that my kids are grown and not in school, but I do like you feel really, my heart goes out to the parents and the teachers who are going to have to navigate this new normal for school systems. So thank you again for all of your hard work and for sharing everything with us that you did. You were very transparent and open about everything that's being done. So we appreciate all that good information. Does anybody have any questions or further comments for Jennifer?
I just
Well,
had
like I
one,
said, go ahead, Amanda, go ahead.
I just had one quick question. Like I said earlier, I work with Martin Pitt Partnership for Children, and one of the things that we've heard in addition to the child care is whether there's the possibility, I know that they've been doing the pickup for the food boxes, but is there the possibility that they're going to, or that you all are going to restart the meals through the bus delivery when school starts? Because I know that that's been a big thing with parents who are working, who might not be able to leave home, but still need the resource. And then any way that we can help do anything to support you all, obviously, please let us know.
Okay, and I really appreciate that. This has been a time, and honestly, why we have our Pitt County School Strong logo is that our community has been amazing. And I'm just, it's what we have come together and have done. The internet infrastructure at the Greenville Housing Authority, the people who are paying for internet services for children, the grants that have been written for hotspots in areas where, I mean, it's just blowing our minds. So, but makes us just extremely proud. So I appreciate that offer, and I will get back with you on that. But your first question was about a meal delivery. So actually that is our video that's coming out this week. So I will actually give you guys a preview. I'll put a link in here so that you can see that video. It'll take me just a second afterwards just to kind of get that in the chat box, or I'll send it to the email if we don't have time to do that. But the food service actually from the summer that was free for all schools will last until September 1st. So parents are not going to have to pay for meals if they're going to school through September 1st. After that, we go back to the system where some of our schools are Title I schools or community or CFE schools. And so they will not have the payment. But in between that, now we're dealing with virtual students versus online students, but we still have the nutritional needs of all of our students. And so the video will address that, like what happens. So there's going to be, in general, and again, I'm not Gretchen Wilson, who's amazing at details, and she's our head of school nutrition. But in general, we will have some pickup on Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, where you can come and pick up meals that's similar. We have our top priority is our staff at schools. We were able to operate a little bit more freely because we didn't have people in schools, and so we could utilize our staff as bus drivers to send out meals, etc. Now we're transporting students with those buses, and so that's going to have to be limited. But we did make a space for grab and go sites for the end of the week. Why just Wednesday and Thursday and Friday? Because we're going to be sending meals home with some of our students at the end of the week for Monday and Tuesday, those prepackaged meals. But again, I know that doesn't address a part of our population that's out there. So we're hoping that our community will be able to partner with us as we see what that looks like, et cetera. And then if we are able to free up some buses, then we will continue and figure out whatever we can do to make sure that we are providing the nutritional needs of our students as well. A little complicated, but I will send you the link to that video.
I really appreciate it. Thank
Sure.
you so much. And I know there's so many, like, we're getting questions all the time about childcare, and we're like,
Right.
I wish we had a handbook for operating during a pandemic. So if anyone's hiding one somewhere,
Right.
shout. But
And things
so
change so quickly. I will tell you that legislation just came out this week, and I think it came out before, but just our logistics this week, that many of our childcare partners are having to operate under childcare rules, which is understandable. And so there's a confusion of, if I offer a virtual academy for our students that are older, is that really childcare, and what are the rules? So those rules have been relaxed as long as there is a partnership and an agreement with the school system that is now being counted as schooling and not childcare. And so that's coming out too. I wish it was going to be in place by Monday when all of our traditional schools start, but there have been so many things and so many details to get into place. So I think we'll see more and more partnerships to help out those parents and to be able to provide true virtual academies and help and assistance for those parents that just cannot either afford or just cannot, homeschool their children or participate in those A and B weeks.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer and Amanda, for those comments. And hopefully you guys can connect and figure out a way to help each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else then from the group?
Question. Sorry. So is there a plan in place to where if parents aren't able to get those kids there, or because of their scheduling or their like health issues, that they just can't, and their finances, that they just can't provide that education, the education fully, you know what I'm saying? And what happens to those students that fall behind? Because I'm pretty sure there are going to be students that fall behind. I mean, I'm speculating, of course, but
there's absolutely no speculation in that. I will tell you that one reason that our system decided to go to Plan B is because 30% did not engage last spring. Now, I know that the engagement was very different, and we were just learning about the pandemic, and it was a little bit more about safety and what's happening. And now we have a little bit more of a handle on that, and I understand that you just can't stop on a Friday and then have schools out and then everybody engage in education normally, and all of our teachers understand about virtual education. So I know there was a reason for a gap, but the fact that 30% of our students did not engage at all, we know that there is a loss there. That's huge. March to May is some of the most critical parts of our curriculum, leading up to just the review, and all of that was missed.
Right.
And so we understand that there already is a loss. There is going to be even more loss, and that's what's breaking our hearts. So to answer that first part of that, but to go back to the beginning of your question, we are trying to work with our community partners and figure out whatever we can do to help out parents. There are some things that we can't do and some things that we can. I do have a link to a community partnership, kind of a survey, and that we're sort of collecting, that I can also send as well, that just says, what can you as an employer in Pitt County do to help out your parents that have school-age children? Can you offer Wi-Fi access? Can you offer a virtual academy? Can the parents go in and pay for a tutor to be able to help those students just navigate on the computer? And we've been blown away by some of our partners who are able to do that. We also understand that all employers are not able to do that. It's not the nature of their business, et cetera. And so some of our other partners, such as churches and others that may have some space that are like classroom-like, that they use on the weekends but not during the week, are now partnering with us to provide some of that. So trying to make those connections and trying to understand that we don't want any children lost. We don't want any academic loss. But we know it's there. I will tell you, our student services and our social services, our social workers and our school nurses knocked on doors last spring, masked up on the porch, had visits, trying to find children that could not engage, and really are talking with families who are very much in a desperate situation. And it's not the fault of theirs. In a lot of these cases, it literally is what it is, and it's very difficult. So we acknowledge that, and we're just trying to make those connections. I know that's a general answer, but if you have ideas, or if I can get back with you, I'll put my email address in the chat as well.
What about when I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but if the pandemic, I guess, gets better or more manageable, the students then go back to school. These are all hypotheticals, of course. I'm not even sure that's going to happen. But, and the students go back to school, but when they go back, we all find that there is a knowledge deficit, which, I mean,
right.
And you acknowledge that there's probably going to be one. It's just, are the schools planning to have like additional, like, help them catch up or anything like that? I mean, I know it's too soon and you are already planning for like things you never would have thought you'd plan for now. I just didn't know, and that might be too soon to ask, honestly.
Actually, it isn't too soon. In March, when we realized what was going to happen, and then April, when schools were shut down, our curriculum specialists they figured out what were the elements that were left out of the curriculum in all grades, K through 12, and they already worked those into those pacing guides for this semester. So our teachers are already having to start behind and then move ahead. Now, high school, that's a little bit different because we're talking about different subject areas, but where we can, we've already built into the curriculum trying to make up that deficit. But I can guarantee you that just based on our commitment to our children, that if there is a way, I'm sure our summer academies next summer, if that, that happens and we are somehow back to operate at a greater capacity, that we will have summer academies, tutoring, some kind of catch-up program. Absolutely, we are committed to that, and know that that is something our community will need as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Anybody else have general questions for Jennifer? I feel like there's so many of those questions that we might have on that website. So when we get that link, or just go to the Pitt County website, you can go to that frequently asked question page and hopefully address most of the questions that people have today.
Yeah.
Jennifer, thank you again for your time. I know you probably have another busy day ahead of you, so we appreciate your time with us this morning and all of the work that your team is doing to get us back to normal as much as we possibly can.
Operating at a new normal.
Operating, exactly.
I will stick around for a little bit and put a few links in the chat bar.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that so much. So moving down on our agenda, we do have only about 20 minutes left on our agenda. So let's breeze through these kind of quickly, but we asked the initiative coordinators to give us an update on what's going on. We'll start with Teresa Blunt with Access to Care. Anything you want to share? You're muted. All right, well, while Teresa figures out how to get unmuted, I think we'll move on to behavioral health. Keith Letchworth, are you on the call?
I am here.
Hi, Keith.
Yeah, hello. Good morning, everyone. The mental health or behavioral health initiative has been working regularly through the COVID. We've been meeting virtually, and one of the main things that we've done is divide up into work groups. So we have 3 work groups, one focusing on the medical community and faith community, one that's focusing specifically on depression and suicide, and the third group is focusing on mental health first aid. I think it's been reported before, but just as a reminder, through the efforts of Sue Ann Pilgreen and the Safe Communities Coalition, we received a grant from Vidant Community Initiative Programs and of $10,000 to implement or to hold at least 4 mental health first aid trainings in Pitt County during this fiscal year, and also with the amount that was received, to send one person to be trained as an instructor in mental health first aid. So again, with kudos to Sue Ann Pilgreen and Safe Communities Coalition, that board added or made up the difference. We requested 16,000 from Vidant. We got 10. Safe Communities Coalition has added $6,000 to enable us to send one more person to be trained as an instructor. So what we anticipate at this point is having one trained as in adult mental health first aid and one in youth mental health first aid. It may be that we can have 1 or 2 more because they are offering the instructor training virtually now. So we'll keep you guys informed as we progress with that. And we'll be seeking input, particularly as we try to reach out to some of the target groups that we think would be quite beneficial for them to participate in the mental health first aid. I will say too that particularly with the work group that's focusing on the medical community and faith community, that's being headed up by Madia Ahmad, the other tri-chair with the Mental Health Initiative, that certainly will be reaching out to the full group in Pitt Partners for Health as try to determine how to make sure or to at least initiate getting information out to those 2 communities about mental health issues and resources, and just being a resource to those 2 communities. So you'll hear more about all 3 of those as time progresses. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Keith. Any questions from anyone for the behavioral health group? We appreciate you working very hard on all of that. It's interesting how everybody kind of is figuring out how to do things virtually and still make it happen. So we're excited to hear about your work and glad that you have found some additional support to make that happen. Any questions? All right, we're gonna flip back to access to care. Teresa had some technical issues, so we're glad she's back up with us. Go ahead, Teresa.
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. Technology is not my friend. I want to say we got our blood pressure station put into the Moy Wood Center, so we're very excited about that. Now, if we can just get to where we can open things up and start using it, would be even better. But while we're having this downtime, we're getting the process in order. And we've been blessed with Megan, an intern that's been working with community health programs this summer, who is very creative. And she came up with a QR code to be able to use that we can post at the blood pressure stations, that the participants can scan that the QR code and be able to have access to Pit Partners for Health website, to the links that they need about blood pressure. And this is something that we'll be able to expand to using more of Pit Partners for Health to give people more direct access to information. So there's more to come on it. She's working fast and furiously on it and has done a great job in quite an imaginative way of being able to link people more easily to information. So in the meantime, Mary, myself, Megan, and the Greenville Housing Authority and a few others are going to be working to make sure we've got the process in place. So around September, October, we can actually open up and start having participants in the Moy Wood Center come and do their blood pressure checks. So we're real excited about that moving forward. As far as NC Care 360 goes, a lot more people are signing on. Eastern AHEC is offering free sessions that are good. It's a series that's going to start in September. So I'll get that information to Tiara to be able to share. It looks like some really good sessions, one focused on food insecurities and housing, and then just NC Care 360 in itself. So be on the lookout for it. Our next meeting will be on September 24th at 3 o'clock, and it will most likely be another WebEx, unless miraculously we can all start meeting again. But I look forward to seeing everyone then. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate that update. We are very excited about the blood pressure station being delivered. It's safe and sound in the Moy Wood Center, and hopefully we'll start to use it soon with those residents. Any questions from anyone for Teresa? Okay, we're going to move along then to healthy lifestyles. I know Mary and Nikki are both on the call, so I'm not sure who wants to talk.
I can.
Okay, Nikki.
We met last month as a full group. Even though Pit Partners didn't meet in July, we felt that we needed to because we really wanted to start some kind of rejuvenation of all our EBIs post-COVID. And so we had a great discussion. We had a lot of people present from all of the project teams for the different EBIs that we have going. And we all threw around ideas of how we could kind of rejuvenate some of those programs, revamp them, how we could do them virtually, etc. The meeting was not to make any decisions because that'll be for the smaller project teams to really hash out, but we wanted to just be a larger group that could throw around some ideas. So that was a great meeting. Tiara shared a lot with us as well about HPHC, Healthy People, Healthy Carolinas, and kind of their expectations among COVID. They know that COVID did slow us down, especially with a lot of our evidence-based interventions that are community-based, but really they are looking for us to, at this point, figure out some way to move forward virtually. So we did meet, and then now the charge was made from that meeting for each of the smaller project groups to meet. I don't have the particular dates and times of those meetings right in front of me, but if anyone is interested in being on any of those, and y'all will have to help me, coordinated approach to child health is one of them, lifestyle medicine is one of them, kids in parks, Track RX is one of them, Cooking Matters at the Store is another. Help me out, Mary, Tiara, which am I missing?
Healthy food pantries we're discussing.
Healthy food pantry. So if anybody is interested in being on any of those project teams, which right now would mean helping give input to figure out how to move forward with those in the time of COVID, then please send me an email or send Mary Gaskins an email, and we will be glad to connect you with the project lead for whatever project you're interested in. And that's pretty much it, unless Mary has something to add.
No, you did a wonderful job carrying this team beautifully.
It is a team effort. Thank you guys so much. Anybody else that's on that committee have anything they want to share? I know Stephanie's on the call with Lifestyle Medicine, and we are going to get more in depth with Lifestyle Medicine at our September meeting, I do believe. So stay tuned for that.
Mary, this is Teresa. I made a mistake. I skipped all over the month of August. We do, the Access to Care Committee will have a meeting August 27th at 3 o'clock. Thank goodness Cheryl keeps me straight.
Thank you for that update. Great. Okay, any other questions for Healthy Lifestyles? Good work. You guys are still very busy. It's wonderful. The next item on our agenda is an update on COVID-19, and I do not believe we have anybody from the health department joining us, but I did pull up their web page. If I can pull it back up. Just real in general, based on the health department's COVID webpage, 2,105 COVID cases, 11 deaths in Pitt County, but still the majority, 1,548, have recovered from COVID, so we're doing pretty well here. I know from the hospital end, we can say that we have not been overrun with patients, so that's a good thing. I don't know if Catherine wants to chime in, but I know that Vidant as well as the health department have been out in the communities doing COVID testing, and they've been very, 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 very busy doing that. So, and I know we're doing lots of testing for patients that are going to have procedures and things like that, are all getting tested before they can have their procedures done. So you probably all know of somebody who's been through those testing sites.
So Mary,
yeah.
So Mary, this is Kayla. There was a news report on WITN this morning about, for North Carolina, over 200,000 cases were over-reported for for COVID, and they're taking that back to LabCorp. It was an error by LabCorp. So
my goodness.
So maybe we're not as bad as we've been made out to be. But,
okay.
Yeah, but anyway, I think it's on WITN's website.
Okay, have to check that out. Thank you, Kayla.
Mary, this is Skip. I wonder, now that school's starting again, and maybe while Jennifer, I don't know if she's still on, but is there any plan to sample or test or screen in school settings this fall?
I'm not sure if Jennifer's still on. Let me see if I can find her. Catherine, do you want to take that one?
Hey, this is Catherine. At this point, I do not, from the Vidant side, no, but we do want to be able to provide information to our school systems in Eastern North Carolina about where testing sites are located. So that we haven't really fleshed out all of that work yet, but just the testing capabilities between the health department and the hospital. It's very staff intensive in terms of getting out. Teresa Blunt can tell you, and Sue Ann and Mary and others can tell you, Nikki as well, can tell you that it takes about 15 to 20 people at each site to carry out a testing, just in a community-based testing. So it's a resource intensive type of event to be able to do it. We've done a lot of testing in Eastern North Carolina through Vidant. The health department's done a ton of testing up till now. The health department's testing ends Friday and ours ends Saturday from the Vidant Health side. So there'll be more to come about testing and that type of thing for resources for school systems probably in the next couple of weeks.
Thanks, Catherine. It just seemed to me that, the schools may be an important vector, and was just curious if there's any folks thinking and figuring out how we might see if that's really the case.
Yes, it's actively being discussed.
And this is Teresa. I did see on one of the news links that Pitt County Health Department would be ending this week, but they're looking at doing more testing sites after August 24th. So I guess they've got something else in the works, according to that article.
Which will be a great resource for schools if they have an outbreak or some students or parents that need to be able to direct their children or families to a site. It would be great to be able to have those resources. Thank you, Teresa, for mentioning that.
Yes, thank you, Teresa. Appreciate that feedback, and we'll have to look at that WITN article that Kayla mentioned and see what's up with the error in testing or case count. We'll see what's happening there. But hopefully Dr. Silvernail and or Amy will be able to join us at our next meeting and give us a full update on what's happening. Okay, so the final major thing we want to talk about today is, as everyone knows, September is going to be our 25th anniversary for Pitt Partners for Health. And of course, we were hoping to celebrate in a great big way, and now COVID has put the kibosh on that again. So we are hoping to have something just as wonderful, but in a virtual way. So I'll let Catherine kind of share some ideas that the steering committee has discussed and let everybody know what's up for next month.
So first of all, I want to say that it almost brought me to tears just listening to all the presentations and all the work that we're doing, because it's made the last 25 years so worth it being a part of Pitt Partners for Health. I know Skip probably feels the very same way, and some of the founding members like Marion and others that are on the call, that were Alice, all of us that were here from the very beginning. I was a young 33-year-old when this started. So a lot has happened to all of us in this time span. So it is so gratifying to hear all the work that we're doing, and really we're actually walking the talk with the work that we're doing. We're really out in the mission field helping others, and it's very gratifying, and I'm so thankful for our partnerships in Pitt County. I am currently working on a resolution for our Board of Trustees. I'm trying to get as many of the outcomes and partnership projects listed in a resolution that the Board of Trustees will vote on at the end of the month at Vidant Medical Center. I've also provided the same information to our president, Brian Floyd, so he can provide a congratulatory message to our partnership. Tierra sent out an email this week that has a link. So if you want to record a congratulatory message back to the partnership from your agency, or if you're an individual from the community, please do so. We want to have as many people doing that. We're going to be also having a group that meets right after this meeting to kind of talk about the presentation and how we want to deliver our message that we have been in the community. We have been doing population health. We have been doing a whole lot of very innovative and unique things over the past 25 years, some of which are still going, like Health Assist and our Smile Safari, all the nutrition, physical activity programs. There were so many to list. It would have taken about 5 pages for a resolution. So I had to go through and pick the ones that are kind of still going. So I'm real excited about it. Skip, if you want to jump in.
I would just add to that and say thank you to everybody for their long-term vision and commitment to this. I think some of you may remember, at least Catherine will remember, that at the same time as we started Pitt Partners Health, we also helped start similar partnerships in Hertford County, Duplin County, and Martin County. And there were similar partnerships in other places. And I guess my observation is that a substantial number of those partnerships have fallen by the wayside, particularly when the Office of Healthy Carolinians at the state level sort of folded or morphed into a different entity. And so I think the fact that we have persisted and continue to do great work is a testimony to everybody's, again, vision and commitment to this. And also thanks to the hospital for continued administrative support, the health department for letting us continue to meet there as a steering committee on a regular basis, and many, many others. And so I think we need to continue to have that long-term vision. Obviously, the problems that we identified way back when, we still haven't solved them. And so we've made a lot of progress, and we need to celebrate that, but we need to continue our vision for the future. So.
Thanks, Skip. Tiara, I'll turn it back over to you.
Good morning. I think I've said anything today. That basically covered it. I do hope you all seen the link. It should be fairly simple, but you can also email them to me. You may have the capability, but please do not text them to me. It'll be hard for me to then get that on the computer to play them from everybody. Asking for a short video. If you do believe you have a long or special message about how PIP Partners has helped you or your organization, that's fine. Might just make a special place for it on the agenda. And also, we plan to put all of this information on our website on a special anniversary page. So if there's anything special, written, or video that you want to send in, please email me. All of you should have my email and contact information. I feel like it's everywhere, but if you don't, just let me know. I'll try in that link to put an example or a couple examples of how you can record a video. You can really do it right from your phone and upload it. It's a Google Doc, sorry, a Google folder. So you can just upload it right from your phone, maybe the easiest. If you are more always use your computer sort of savvy person, then you can do that as well. And if you want to do something unique, just reach out. I'm open. Questions? Has anybody tried it and struggled with it already? If you want to talk through it, just let me know.
So as you can see, we're going to have some interesting comments during our anniversary meeting, some presentations, and just celebrating the good work that we are doing and continue to do with PIP Partners for Health. And like Skip said, I echo what he and Catherine both have said about the long-standing relationships we have here with our group, because they're not like this everywhere in the state. So we're very blessed and should be very proud of our work. So, okay, with that, I'll just open the floor if anybody has any other further announcements before we part for the day. Any special things going on that we all need to be aware of? Okay. Okay, hearing nothing, then you can always share those with Tiara. She can send them out through an email to the group so that everybody knows what's up if you would like to share it a different way. With that, I guess we will adjourn. Thank you guys all for being here. Don't forget that next month is a big important meeting. We'll send details out, but it'll be our anniversary celebration meeting, and that will be on, who has the date? Second week of September.
I think it's the 10th.
Thank you, the 10th. So stay tuned for those details to be coming out, and we look forward to seeing everyone again there, and it will be virtual, so buckle up.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Love you guys all. Bye.
Monica.
Okay. That was fun. Let me make sure I stop the recording.